Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast where we dive into the topics that matter most to you. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James. Today we're tackling a topic that's incredibly relevant for many of us: work-life balance. How do you juggle professional responsibilities and personal life without feeling overwhelmed?
Exactly, James. It's something I've personally struggled with, especially since the pandemic blurred the lines between home and work. But before we dive into strategies, let's talk about what work-life balance means to us.
Great point, Sarah. For me, work-life balance is about feeling fulfilled in both my career and personal life. It's not about splitting my time 50-50, but finding a way to integrate both aspects harmoniously.
I agree. It's more about the quality of time spent rather than the quantity. It's ensuring that when I'm working, I'm fully present and productive, and when I'm with family or friends, I'm equally present and engaged.
Exactly. So let's discuss some strategies that have worked for us and others. What's one strategy that's helped you maintain your work-life balance, Sarah?
One thing that's been a game changer for me is setting clear boundaries. When I'm working from home, I have a designated workspace. Once I step out of that space, I switch off from work mode. This physical separation helps me mentally switch gears.
That's a great strategy. For me, it's been about managing my time effectively. I use time blocking to allocate specific hours for work tasks, family time, and personal activities. It helps me stay focused and ensures that I'm dedicating time to all important areas of my life. Absolutely. Self-care is often the first thing we sacrifice, but it's essential for maintaining balance. I've started incorporating short breaks throughout my day to recharge. Even a 10-minute break can boost productivity and reduce stress.
That's a great tip, James. Speaking of stress, another important aspect is learning to say no. We often take on more than we can handle because we don't want to disappoint others, but setting realistic limits on our commitments is vital.
Definitely. It's about knowing our limits and being honest with ourselves and others. Overcommitting can lead to burnout, which is counterproductive in the long run.
One more strategy I'd like to mention is leveraging technology to our advantage. Using tools like calendars, task managers, and communication apps can streamline our tasks and help us stay organized without feeling overwhelmed.
Yes, technology can be a double-edged sword, but when used correctly, it can enhance our efficiency and free up more personal time. Now, let's talk about the importance of unplugging. How do you ensure you disconnect from work, Sarah?
I have a rule of not checking work emails after a certain hour. It was hard at first, but it's made a significant difference in my mental well-being. I also make it a point to do activities that require me to be away from screens, like cooking or gardening.
That's great advice. I also try to set a digital curfew. No screens an hour before bed. It helps me wind down and ensures I get a good night's sleep, which is crucial for maintaining balance.
Sleep is often overlooked but is so important. Good quality sleep can improve our mood, productivity, and overall health. It's all interconnected.
Absolutely. Another key point is the support system. Having a strong support system, whether it's family, friends, or colleagues, can make balancing responsibilities much easier. How has your support system helped you, Sarah?
My family has been incredibly supportive. They understand my work demands and help out whenever they can. It's also helpful to have friends who are going through similar experiences. We share tips and encourage each other to stay balanced.
That's wonderful. I've found that communicating openly with my partner about my work schedule and stress levels helps us manage our household better. We share responsibilities and ensure we both get time to unwind.
Communication is key. It's important to let people around you know what you need and how they can support you. It's not a sign of weakness to ask for help.
Definitely. So let's summarize some of the strategies we've discussed. Setting clear boundaries, effective time management, prioritizing self-care, learning to say no, leveraging technology, unplugging, and having a strong support system.
Yes, and remember, finding the right balance is a continuous process. It requires regular reflection and adjustment as our circumstances change.
Exactly, and it's important to be kind to ourselves. We won't always get it right, and that's okay. It's about making progress, not being perfect.
Well said, James. That's all for today's episode. We hope these strategies help you find a better work-life balance. Some questions and answers related to handling remote work and maintaining work-life balance.
Question 1. How do you maintain productivity while working from home? Question 1. How do you maintain productivity while working from home?
Maintaining productivity while working from home can be challenging, but it's possible with the right strategies. First, set up a dedicated workspace that is free from distractions. This helps create a clear boundary between work and personal life. Next, establish a routine similar to what you would have in an office, including set start and end times. Use productivity tools like Trello or Asana to keep track of tasks and deadlines. Time management techniques, such as time blocking or the Pomodoro technique, can also help maintain focus. Lastly, take regular breaks to avoid burnout and stay refreshed.
Question 2. What are some tips for managing work-related stress while working remotely?
Managing work-related stress while working remotely involves a combination of good habits and techniques. Start by setting clear boundaries between work and personal life to prevent work from spilling into your personal time. Take regular breaks throughout the day to recharge and don't skip lunch. Incorporate stress relief activities into your routine, such as exercise, meditation, or hobbies. Stay connected with colleagues to avoid feelings of isolation, and don't hesitate to ask for help if you're feeling overwhelmed. Additionally, maintaining a healthy lifestyle with a balanced diet and adequate sleep can significantly reduce stress levels.
Question 3. How do you handle the isolation that can come with remote work?
Handling isolation in remote work involves proactively staying connected with others. Schedule regular virtual meetings and check-ins with colleagues to maintain a sense of teamwork and camaraderie. Participate in virtual social events or informal coffee breaks to catch up with colleagues on a personal level. Join online communities or professional groups related to your industry to network and share experiences. Additionally, ensure you're engaging in social activities outside of work, whether it's spending time with family and friends or participating in community events. Maintaining a balance between virtual and in-person interactions can help mitigate feelings of isolation.
Question 4. How can you balance remote work with family responsibilities?
Balancing remote work with family responsibilities requires clear communication and effective time management. Start by setting clear boundaries with your family regarding your work hours and workspace. Create a schedule that includes both work tasks and family activities, and stick to it as much as possible. Involve family members in your routine by setting up times for shared activities and responsibilities. Utilize time management techniques like time blocking to ensure you're dedicating time to both work and family. Lastly, don't hesitate to ask for support from your partner or other family members to share the load.
Question 5. What are some strategies for avoiding burnout while working remotely?
Avoiding burnout while working remotely involves prioritizing self-care and setting healthy boundaries. Start by establishing a regular work schedule and sticking to it, including clear start and end times. Take frequent breaks throughout the day to rest and recharge. Incorporate physical activity into your routine, whether it's a short walk, yoga, or a workout session. Ensure you're getting enough sleep and maintaining a balanced diet. Create a relaxing end-of-day ritual to transition out of work mode. Lastly, make time for hobbies and activities that you enjoy outside of work to maintain a healthy balance and prevent burnout.
Question 6. How do you stay motivated when working from home?
Staying motivated when working from home can be achieved by setting clear goals and maintaining a structured routine. Start your day with a morning routine that prepares you for work, such as exercise, breakfast, and getting dressed as if you were going to the office. Set daily and weekly goals to keep you focused and motivated. Use productivity tools to track your progress and celebrate small achievements. Take regular breaks to avoid feeling overwhelmed and ensure you're staying energized. Lastly, create a workspace that inspires you with good lighting, comfortable furniture, and minimal distractions.
Question 7. How do you handle unexpected disruptions or emergencies while working remotely?
Handling unexpected disruptions or emergencies while working remotely requires flexibility and effective communication. Have a backup plan in place for common disruptions, such as internet outages or urgent family needs. Communicate any disruptions to your colleagues or manager as soon as possible to manage expectations. Prioritize your tasks and focus on the most critical ones first. If an emergency arises, take the necessary time to address it and reschedule your work commitments if needed. Being prepared and maintaining open lines of communication can help you manage disruptions more effectively.
Question 8. How do you ensure clear communication with your team when working remotely?
Ensuring clear communication with your team when working remotely involves using the right tools and practices. Utilize video conferencing tools like Zoom for face-to-face meetings and discussions. Use instant messaging apps like Slack for quick and informal communication. Keep everyone in the loop with regular updates through project management tools like Trello or Asana. Schedule regular check-ins and team meetings to discuss progress, address issues, and stay connected. Be clear and concise in your communications and encourage an open and collaborative environment where team members feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns.
Welcome back, everyone! In this segment, we're diving deeper into real-life experiences and how different people manage their work-life balance. Joining us today are two guests with unique perspectives. Please welcome Lisa and Mark.
Thanks for joining us, Lisa and Mark. Let's start with you, Lisa. Can you tell us a bit about your work and how you maintain a balance between your professional and personal life?
Sure, thanks for having me. I'm a marketing manager at a tech company, and it can get pretty hectic. For me, it's all about setting priorities. I make a list of tasks for the day and categorize them into urgent and important. This helps me focus on what truly matters and ensures I have time for my family in the evenings.
That's a great approach, Lisa. How do you handle unexpected work demands that might disrupt your personal time?
Flexibility is key. While I try to stick to my schedule, I also understand that sometimes things come up. When that happens, I communicate with my family and let them know. We adjust our plans accordingly. It's about being adaptable and not letting one-off events throw you off balance.
That's a healthy mindset. Mark, you have a different work setup as a freelancer. How do you manage your work-life balance?
Thanks, James. As a freelancer, I have the advantage of setting my own hours, but it can also be a double-edged sword. I find it helpful to create a routine similar to a traditional workday. I start and finish work at set times and make sure to include breaks. It helps me stay disciplined and ensures I don't overwork myself.
That sounds effective. Do you ever find it challenging to switch off from work when your home is also your office?
Absolutely, it can be difficult. What helps me is having a designated workspace. When I leave that space, I leave work behind. I also make it a point to have a shutdown ritual at the end of the day, like tidying up my desk and making a to-do list for the next day. It signals to my brain that the workday is over.
That's a great technique, Mark. It's all about creating mental cues to help you transition. Now, let's talk about hobbies and leisure activities. How do they play into maintaining balance for both of you?
Hobbies are crucial for me. They provide a much-needed break from work and help me recharge. I love painting, and I make it a point to spend a few hours every weekend indulging in it. It's therapeutic and keeps my stress levels in check.
I'm the same way with hiking. Being in nature helps me disconnect from work and recharge. I try to go hiking at least once a week. It's a great way to clear my mind and get some exercise.
Hobbies indeed play a significant role in maintaining balance. They provide a sense of fulfillment and joy outside of work. Speaking of which, how do you ensure that your hobbies and personal interests get the attention they deserve amidst work demands?
I schedule them just like I would any other important task. If I have a painting session planned, it goes on my calendar. Treating it as a non-negotiable appointment helps me stick to it.
I agree. For me, it's about making it a priority. If I don't schedule time for hiking, it's easy for work to take over. By blocking out that time, I ensure it happens. It's all about being intentional with how we use our time.
That's a fantastic approach. Intentionality and scheduling can indeed make a big difference. Before we wrap up, do either of you have any final tips for our listeners struggling with work-life balance?
I'd say, don't be afraid to delegate. Whether it's at work or home, you don't have to do everything yourself. Trust others to help and share the load.
And I'd add, be kind to yourself. Balance isn't about perfection. It's about finding what works for you and adjusting as needed. It's a journey, not a destination.
Wonderful advice from both of you. Welcome back, everyone. In the next part of our conversation, we're going to address some common challenges and questions that our listeners have about work-life balance. We've gathered some questions from our audience, and we'd love to get Lisa and Mark's insights on these. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Great. The first question is from Emily, who asks, how do you deal with guilt when you take time for yourself? especially when you have pressing work deadlines or family responsibilities?
That's a really good question. Guilt is something many of us struggle with. For me, it's about reframing how I view self-care. I remind myself that taking time for myself makes me more effective in both my work and personal life. When I'm well-rested and relaxed, I can handle deadlines and family responsibilities better.
I agree. I've found that guilt often comes from unrealistic expectations. We expect ourselves to be superhuman. It's important to remember that self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. Taking time for yourself is a way to recharge so you can be fully present and productive in other areas of your life.
That's a great perspective. Our next question is from Michael, who asks, how do you handle work-life balance when your job has unpredictable hours or requires you to be on call?
That's definitely a tough one. When I was freelancing full-time, I faced a lot of unpredictability. What helped me was creating a flexible routine. I would set core hours for work and adjust around that. For on-call situations, I communicated clear boundaries with my clients about my availability. It's also about making the most of the downtime you do have.
In my previous job, I had similar challenges. What worked for me was to have a solid support system in place. I communicated with my family about my work schedule so they knew when I might be busy unexpectedly. It's also helpful to have quick stress relief activities ready, like a short walk or breathing exercises, for those unpredictable moments.
Flexibility and communication seem to be key. Here's another question from Olivia. How do you maintain balance when working from home with kids around?
Oh, that's a big one. As a mother of two, I can relate. For me, creating a schedule for the kids was essential. Having set times for their activities, play, and quiet time helped a lot. Also, I found that involving them in my work routine, like having them do their own work alongside me, helped them understand and respect my work time.
That's a great strategy. I've worked with clients who have kids, and they often mention the importance of setting boundaries and having a designated workspace. It's also about being realistic and forgiving yourself when things don't go as planned. Kids are unpredictable, and sometimes you just have to roll with it.
Those are really practical tips. Our next question is from Rachel, who asks, how do you find time for hobbies and personal interests when your work is demanding and leaves you exhausted?
It can be challenging, but it's about prioritizing and planning. Even if it's just 30 minutes a few times a week, scheduling that time for your hobbies can make a big difference. Start small. Sometimes just getting started can give you the energy boost you need.
I completely agree. Another thing that helps is combining hobbies with social time. For instance, I love painting, and sometimes I invite friends over to join me. It's a great way to relax and socialize at the same time. Also, look for ways to integrate your interests into your daily routine. Love reading? Listen to audiobooks during your commute.
Fantastic advice. Here's one last question from David. What are some warning signs that you're losing your work-life balance, and how do you address them?
That's a crucial question. For me, warning signs include feeling constantly stressed, being irritable, and not enjoying activities that I usually love. When I notice these signs, I take a step back and reassess my schedule. I look for areas where I can delegate or postpone tasks and make sure to schedule in downtime.
I notice it when I start to feel overwhelmed and anxious about work, even during my off hours. My sleep might get affected too. To address this, I make it a point to review my workload and see where I can cut back or ask for help. Sometimes, just talking it out with a friend or mentor can provide clarity and relief.
Those are really helpful insights. Recognizing the warning signs and taking proactive steps to address them is so important. Thank you both for sharing your experiences and tips today.
Yes, thank you, Lisa and Mark. And thank you to our listeners for sending in such thoughtful questions. We hope this discussion helps you find better ways to manage your work-life balance.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a topic that has become incredibly relevant over the past few years: handling remote work. With more people working from home than ever before, balancing professional responsibilities and personal life has taken on new dimensions. Joining us again are Lisa and Mark, who have both experienced remote work firsthand.
Welcome back, Lisa and Mark. Remote work has its own set of challenges and opportunities. Let's start by discussing the unique aspects of remote work. Lisa, what have been some of the biggest challenges you faced working remotely?
Thanks for having me back. One of the biggest challenges for me has been creating a clear separation between work and personal life. When your home is your office, it's easy for the lines to blur. I found myself working longer hours initially because there was no clear end of the workday.
I completely agree. Another challenge is staying connected with colleagues. Remote work can sometimes feel isolating. You miss out on the spontaneous conversations and quick check-ins that happen in an office environment. It takes more effort to maintain those connections virtually.
Those are significant challenges. How have you both addressed them?
For separating work and personal life, I've set up a dedicated workspace in my home. When I'm in that space, I'm in work mode. Once I leave that space, I switch off from work. I also set specific work hours and stick to them as much as possible. It's about creating boundaries that help you switch gears mentally.
Staying connected with colleagues required a bit more creativity. I started scheduling regular check-ins and virtual coffee breaks with my team. We also use instant messaging apps for quick, informal chats. These little touches help maintain a sense of camaraderie and teamwork.
Those are great strategies. How do you handle the distractions that come with working from home, like household chores or family interruptions?
Distractions are inevitable. I've found that setting expectations with family members is crucial. They know my work hours and respect that time as much as possible. For household chores, I schedule specific times for them outside of my work hours. It's all about creating a routine and sticking to it.
I use a combination of time blocking and the Pomodoro technique to manage distractions. I block off specific times for focused work and take short breaks in between. During those breaks, I might do a quick household chore or just step outside for a breath of fresh air. It helps me stay focused and productive.
Time management techniques like those can be very effective. Let's talk about the positives of remote work. What have been some of the benefits for you?
One of the biggest benefits has been flexibility. I can arrange my workday around my personal life, which has been especially helpful with kids at home. I also appreciate the time saved from not having to commute. It gives me more time for family and personal activities.
I agree with Lisa. The flexibility is fantastic. I can work from anywhere, which has allowed me to travel more and spend time in different environments. It's also been a great opportunity to develop better self-discipline and time management skills.
Flexibility and the absence of a commute are definitely significant perks. Have you found any specific tools or technologies particularly helpful in managing remote work?
Definitely. Project management tools like Trello and Asana have been lifesavers for keeping track of tasks and deadlines. For communication, we use Zoom for meetings and Slack for instant messaging. These tools help streamline workflows and keep everyone on the same page.
I use similar tools. Additionally, I've found that using a good pair of noise-canceling headphones can make a big difference in maintaining focus, especially in a busy household. I also use apps like Rescue Time to track how I'm spending my time and identify areas where I can improve my productivity.
Those are excellent recommendations. Tools that enhance communication and productivity can make a huge difference. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about maintaining work-life balance while working remotely. How do you ensure you're not overworking, given that your office is just a few steps away?
It's definitely a challenge. I set strict start and end times for my workday and try to stick to them as closely as possible. I also make it a point to take regular breaks throughout the day, and once I'm done for the day, I make a conscious effort to switch off from work-related activities and focus on my family or personal interests.
I use similar strategies. I've also found that having a clear end-of-day ritual helps me transition out of work mode. This might include tidying up my workspace, making a to-do list for the next day, and then doing something relaxing like reading a book or going for a walk. It's important to create that mental separation.
Those rituals and routines sound very effective. Now, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to adapt to remote work?
I'd say start by creating a dedicated workspace and establishing a routine. Communicate your boundaries clearly with family members and colleagues. And don't forget to take care of yourself. Regular breaks, exercise, and maintaining social connections are all important.
My advice would be to be patient with yourself. Transitioning to remote work takes time. Experiment with different strategies to find what works best for you. And make use of the available tools and technologies to stay organized and connected.
Great advice from both of you. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts on remote work and work-life balance?
Remote work is an adjustment, but with the right strategies and mindset, it can be incredibly rewarding. It's about finding what works for you and creating a routine that balances your professional and personal life.
I'd add that flexibility is one of the greatest advantages of remote work. Use it to your advantage to create a work-life balance that suits you. And always remember to prioritize your mental and physical well-being.
Thank you, Lisa and Mark, for sharing your insights and experiences. Remote work is here to stay for many of us, and your tips will surely help our listeners navigate this new landscape. Thank you, Lisa and Mark, for sharing your insights and experiences. Remote work is here to stay for many of us, and your tips will surely help our listeners navigate this new landscape.
Yes, thank you both. And to our listeners, we hope you found this discussion helpful. Remote work can be challenging, but with the right approach, it can also offer a unique opportunity to create a more balanced and fulfilling life. Goodbye.